going to try and keep this video fairly quick and just do a quick walkthrough for the updated version of the UFX trend report. The first thing we're going to do after you install it, if you'd like to add it to your favorites, you can. Just go to your export tab here, right click on it, and add to favorites. The next thing we're going to do here is add in the Keltner channels. So the default chart will try and pull up this Keltner channel here, and the info plus, if you don't have it installed on your MT4 platform, then you're not going to see it pull up on the default chart, so under the template. So what you're going to do is go down into your terminal down below here, click on the market tab, and then you're just going to search for the Keltner channel MT4 and also the info plus if you want to have the info plus like this as well. So that's it for adding your Keltner channel. Both of them are free. Just go into the market tab here, look for them, info plus, Keltner channel, and install them. Just download them, and it will appear with the default template that I've provided for you guys. Okay, so let's go over to the USD CAD, and you can do this for any pair. We're going to use the USD CAD here, and we're going to go to chart window. So the default template, which I've provided for you guys as well, is going to look just like this. And then after we've done this, we're just going to simply add the UFX trend report EA. So my default is the M1. If you don't want to use the M1, maybe you want to use the M5. You just go up to the M5 and hit template, save template as default. But I'm using the 1 minute scalping, use it with the 1 hour candles here that you're going to see in a moment. So we'll stick with this for the example. Just drag and drop the UFX trend report EA on. There is no settings in this. All the settings are done within the software, and you shouldn't need to change the font settings. It should be all right. If your computer is looking a little funky here with these settings, then you're just going to open up this menu here, which is the sidebar. You can go down to the font size and adjust the font size depending on what your computer's resolution is. So by default it's set to 10, which generally should be pretty good for most computers there. But like I said, if your resolution is a bit different, you can always just go and use that font size there to change it right now. So let's get into what these buttons do here and our walkthrough. There's not really much on this main area. Obviously we can close our EA using this. Close the expert, yes or no. We're not going to do that right now, but I just want to show you. And then obviously we have here, open the menu. Okay, this is the main part of the software here that we're going to be going through. This open trade panel is still in development. I'm not too sure if I'm going to be using it. It was put in here for strategy tester, but for right now it's not being used. Our money management we're not going to worry about. Okay, it gives you it needs to be greater than 0, which is this stop loss down here, but we're not going to worry about this button right here. You can play around with it if you'd like. We're just going to get into the main portions of the software here. The alarm we'll get into, we'll come back to this alarm and setting it up here when we do a quick walkthrough for all of the pairs here. I'm going to do a walkthrough at the end of the video for all the USD pairs and how I quickly scan and which ones I want to trade, and then that's when we can set up the alarm as well. Okay, so obviously we've got our buy and our sell. If we hit our buy by accident, we're moving this around maybe, and we accidentally hit the buy, I do have a safeguard in here, which will ask you if you do want to buy at market, because sometimes you can just accidentally hover over and click your mouse, and you didn't want to get into a trade, but it would automatically put you into a trade. So we're going to hit no, and then the stop loss or the buy limits and the buy stops, they don't have that safeguard. You don't really need them, because if you accidentally hit it, you can go in and delete it right away. So So like we do have the buttons here: buy stops, buy limits, sell stops. Pretty self-explanatory. You can always YouTube what those are if you're new to trading. Our support areas and our resistance areas, turning them on and off. I'll show you how I use these in trades to come via live trades that I will be posting here on YouTube in the future. Okay, our pivot points, these are for higher time frames. You're not going to really see them much here. If we turn these pivots on and we go to a bit higher time frames, we got to get it back open, then you'll start to see the pivots on the daily here that you may want to trade. Some people like pivots, so I did put them in. But let's go back down to the 1 minute time frame. So I'm not using the pivots. We're going to turn them off. And obviously our main indicator is off. So we turn this on. This gives us our entries, our stop loss, break-even points, targets. I've added in the 1.5 target. And the 2 is the main one that I'm using and suggest sticking with as well, depending on what the candle that you're trading looks like. So we just got the flip there on a different on a buy entry here now. So our 50-50 is off. We can turn that 50-50 on. You can see that is just on the signal candle, it's the 50% entry area. So if you'd rather trade those, you can. And if you only want to trade those, you can show this as well. So maybe the signal candle is a fairly long signal candle and you'd rather trade a pullback, then you would use the 50-50 entry as well. Okay, so we're going to turn that off. I mostly am using the main entry here. If it pulls back, then I'll set a buy stop or a sell stop, so that if it comes back up through it, I'll get triggered into the trade. So and that way, if it does pull back and keep going to the opposite side here, I won't be in the trade. So that's how I'm doing it. Obviously our higher high and higher low, this is mostly going to be for the auto trade, and it's on by default anyways. So we don't have auto trade set up right now. You can see that it is still in the works here. I have to forward test it and make sure that everything's getting done and set up properly through the trading aspect of things. So this is going to be a little bit longer testing phase. Our open strategies tab here will pull up another window here. The UFX pattern strategy, this is something that I have in the works as well. You can see it's still in development. I don't know if I'm going to add it or not yet here. I was doing a lot of coding with regards to a specific pattern, but haven't decided if I'm going to be using it or not yet. So let's just turn the indicator off here for a moment and come down into what these do here. We've got the hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. Now these show the previous hourly candles, daily candles, weekly, and monthly candles. It doesn't show the current ones, it shows the previous. So let's click on the hourly, and it's going to give us an optimal area. Right now, over on the side here, this is what the previous hourly candle looks like. Okay, it's a bearish candle. We can see that the 1 hour trend is down, and the trend is calculated by having the open and close below the 10 simple moving average. Okay, so that's how this trend is determined now. You can see we're given the hourly high, the hourly low. If we do hover over this button, it's going to tell us where the price action is. If it's right now, you can see that it's within the hourly range for the USD CAD. It gives us the high and the low, and it's also visually given it to us on the chart as well. So if this was trading down below here and I liked this bearish candle, then I would have waited for a pullback into the top of the Keltner channel into this optimal area to go short at. Obviously we're climbing right now, and we're coming near the hourly high. So if I did like this and there wasn't a huge wick at the bottom and I did want to take a trade up here, then I would have waited for around this area to go short, okay, and taken the trade. So let's go back into, we'll show you the daily or the bullish here, or the daily bullish candle here, the optimal entry for the daily. We close it down here a little bit more, and you can see that we've got the daily high, the daily low. Now for the 1 minute chart, I'm obviously not going to be going off of the daily, but it's nice to see where that is. I'm going to be sticking with the 1 minute using the hourly. Okay, if I wanted to use the daily, then I might want to go up into the 15-minute chart, 1 hour chart maybe. Probably use the 1 hour chart with the weekly optimal areas, and down here we're going to change the chart here to the 1 hour. So refrain from using up in here. It may not let you change with this software running, because it does use this software for the chart and chart. So make sure you get into the habit. You can increase, decrease, and then change the chart time frames down below here that I've added. So the 1 hour, if you wanted to, you could do the 1 hour chart and look at the weekly highs and lows and optimal areas. Again, the side panel or the side bar here, you're going to see this is the previous weekly bar and what it looks like. It is a bullish bar. So, you know, maybe a couple days back we had a pullback near this 50% area here, and our optimal area for entry, and we could have gotten a 1 hour trade right here with our stop below here. Obviously the higher time frames you trade, the larger your stop is going to be. So that's a 65 pip stop, and then going for the a 2 to 1 or a 3 to 1, you know, you're obviously getting bigger gains as well. So even if you would have targeted the high here, which is 95 pips. So just remember that if you're using a smaller account, maybe trade the lower time frames, because you're not going to be able to take a lot of trades if you're testing this out with $20 and you're using higher time frames. You know, 1 or 2 trades could wipe out that account, right? You're not going to get the amount of trades that you need to prove the system. Okay, so use smaller time frames for smaller accounts. Okay, now let's go back into the 1 minute here, and then obviously we've got the monthly. So each one of these, when we click on them, will show the bar here on the side, so that you can have at a quick glance here what the bars look like for higher time frames right away. Okay, so that's it for this strategies panel. We'll keep the 1 hour open here. Okay, so the trade support and the trade resistance buttons, you're going to notice these entries changing value right here. This entry is actually based on the close of the current price. Okay, so if we click on trade support, it's going to go to 0 because we have no support open on any of the time frames at all, or on this one. So if we turn this off and we open up our support area, and this is an area that we would like to go long from, then we can turn the trade support on, and it's going to give this top value right here. So you can see it's 1.28537. 1.28537. So this I'm probably going to be incorporating into the auto trade, but we'll see. I've got a lot more testing, so The same is true for the resistance, trade resistance. It goes to 0. We have no resistance open here. So we go to the resistance area and then click on trade resistance. This value gets put in. So if we were going to use the buy and sells off of these, then we would have to set the stop loss and whatnot down in this area. So I'm not going to get into these down here. This was mostly set up for strategy tester, but for now we're not even going to be using the trade support and the trade resistance. We can just use the support and resistance up here to see where potential turning points are, and good for having these on the higher time frames. Okay, so you're not going to be using this trade support and trade resistance. I just wanted to give a quick little explanation that it may be coming and being used later on in the future. Money management, obviously this is pretty self-explanatory. 1% is default. You change it to 2%, and we can see over on this panel here that it changes to a 2%. And then up to 5%. So those are the only settings you have here. FL is for fixed lot size, and that uses this entry right down here. So if you don't want to use a 1, 2, or 5% risk, you can use a fixed lot size down in here as well. So those are the settings that for the money management. The risk reward target, we do have a couple, 1.5, 2, and a 3. So when we turn our indicator on, it will adjust what the targets here are. Right now, when we turn it on, it's set to 3.1. And when we turn it to 1.5, you can see we get rid of the other targets, and we just have our largest target is the 1.5. So if we were to do a buy or a buy here or a buy stop, it's going to set our target to 1.5. And then as we wanted to, we can adjust and move it up. If we're in a trade here, our target will automatically be readjusted. This I'll show in future videos if I do readjust the target when I'm in a trade. And then the same for the 3 to 1. If we're in a trade, and our targets will be adjusted with our risk reward target as well. So our stop loss, we can use the swing low, which we can see here. Our entry candle was right here. Our entry, it incorporates the spread as well for our entry, and same with our stop loss. But we're looking at the swing low here for our stop loss. If we don't want to use the swing low, we can use the signal bar, which is basically similar to where it is anyways, because that signal bar is near the swing low here. So I keep it on the swing low. If you'd like to use a fixed stop loss, right now the stop loss is at 0, so we can step it up. You can see we're stepping it up by 1. Okay. If we wanted to, we could step it up by 5. Okay. So you can play around with these a little bit, but that's if we wanted a fixed stop loss. Let's put this back down to 1. And maybe you want it to go long here, but you want a stop loss way down underneath the previous swing low. Then you're just going to increment these numbers, and our stop loss is now going to be below here, right? Obviously that's a big stop loss, but this is also a 12 pip stop loss on the 1 minute. So you can use that for these. That's using the fixed stop loss. We're going to go back to using the swing low and swing high. Obviously the font size change, I went over at the beginning. You can change to the light theme or the dark theme. I like it on the dark, so I keep it on the dark. Now to show the chart in chart, let's turn this indicator off here, and Let's turn our bearish optimal entries off. And let's get into the chart and chart. This is going to show the daily and the 1 hour higher time frames. When we're on a 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, or a 30 time frame, or 1 hour. Okay, these are the ones that it will show. I actually believe that the 1 hour will show a little bit different. I think it'll show the daily and the weekly. So for now, let's just stick with the smaller time frames here and show you guys. You guys can play around with other settings and what they do here in your own time. So let's go over here and show. We're going to click on the chart and chart. It's going to ask you here, do you want the support and resistance? It's currently turned off for the daily chart. Do you want to turn it on? Okay, for this instance, we're going to hit no, and then it's going to ask for the 1 hour time frame. It's telling us that it's turned off. Do you want to turn it on? We're going to hit no. Okay. Now we can see that we do have the picture here on the 1 hour. It highlights our bar down here to the 1 hour, so we can clearly see that we're on the 1 hour chart for this picture. Okay, we can click on the picture and it's going to show us the daily chart, so we can have a quick view when we want to do the check the chart and chart. We don't have to flip the time frame. We can just have a quick look at what is happening here. You can see we're at a resistance on the daily. There's more resistance up there on the daily. So it just gives you a quick view as to what's going on in the higher time frames here as well. Okay. This button here beside it, we can select this to move the chart. Maybe we don't want the chart over in this panel, or it was covering, maybe it's covering our software here, so we can move it to wherever else we want to move it to, down below, and then just turn this off, and you can click on it and change between the two. Obviously, if you have this, if you click on it, it's wanting to move the chart. You're not going to be able to switch from the 1 hour to the daily. Okay, so if you want to switch between the 1 hour and the daily, you're going to have to turn this off. Okay, so by default it will show up in the top corner here, but you can move it around. Okay, auto trade, obviously it's still in development. We're testing it out some more. I've got a lot more work to do with it, and I have to forward test it as well. Okay, we're going to get rid of this chart here, keep things clean, and come up over here. We're going to open up the strategies here and turn back on our 1 hour. We're on the 1 minute time frame, but let's get into going through here. We've got a half an hour until the new bar, new 1 hour bar gets created here. So let's hop over and check the other candles here. So, all right, so the Aussie USD 1 hour chart, or 1 hour bar, is a pin bar. We can see it's a bearish pin bar, and we hover over it, it's trading below. So we can see where the low was right here, and we could get a push off of this to the downside. Now say I didn't want to trade this, and I was we were hovering around this low when the candle was forming, and I wanted to get an alert when we get back up into this area here. Then I would just simply keep this chart open, turn the alarm on, and when we get up into this area, it will notify us. If we have the SMS notifications turned on and set up in MT4, then it'll send a notification to your phone. If you have the email set up, it will email it to you, and most people use the SMS notifications to the phone, or you'll get a pop-up alert if you're on your computer and you're maybe on other charts. So this is how the alarm works. Okay, we can go to the USD, Euro USD, nothing, pound, and you can see it is relatively similar to the Aussie. Aussie's getting a bit of a bigger retracement than the pound. So because they're pretty similar, if I started to get a pressure to the downside on the pound USD, then maybe I would see if the Aussie USD would follow it. Okay, so I'd maybe watch these two charts. New Zealand, okay, nothing, and then we could set up the USD. So right now the only one I'd be interested in is possibly the odd USD or the pound USD. The time of day isn't the best right now. We've only got a couple hours left on the New York session here. So right now, if I was going to take a trade, it would be I'd be looking at the Aussie and the pound. They're very good bearish ones, so I would pay attention to this pound USD, and if we did close below here, then I might hop over to the odd USD and see if I could get a trade on this one down to the low here. So anyways, that's looking at the alarm setup and how they work. It will give you an alert on the optimal entry areas, which is what we're wanting. We're wanting pullbacks. If we wanted to do a breakout, then maybe we would trade off of this area too, and we could have done that as well. So looking at these bars for really good bearish or bearish pin bars to trade off of. So that is basically it for the software walkthrough. If you have any questions, feel free to send me the questions via Telegram, and I'll get back to you. I'm going to be redoing the website here as well, putting in a login information and stuff. So that's going to be happening over the next few months as well. So I want to finish completion of the software here in the testing phase of the auto trade, which I think will be a big help. So anyways, I hope this helped you guys out.